You've probably never heard of a place called Svalbard. It's a frozen archipelago halfway between Norway and the North Pole. Almost no one lives there. Temperatures drop below -30 degrees Celsius. It's dark half the year. Remote, inhospitable, forgotten. But buried deep inside one of its mountains is a vault, not a bank vault, not a military bunker, a seed vault. Specifically, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a massive underground facility designed to store duplicates of every crop seed on Earth. Rice, wheat, maize, beans, you name it. And here's where it gets strange. It's often called the Doomsday Vault, built to survive natural disasters, nuclear war, climate collapse, even asteroid strikes. But who built it? Who funds it? And why are the same people who promote synthetic agriculture so obsessed with preserving organic seeds? That's where Bill Gates enters the picture. Gates didn't just donate to the Seed Vault project. He helped launch it. His foundation is one of its largest private funders, alongside the Rockefeller Foundation, the World Bank, and a few biotech corporations with long histories of, let's just say, questionable influence over food systems. At first glance, it seems noble. Preserve biodiversity, protect crops, prepare for catastrophe. But ask yourself, why would billionaires who invest in lab-grown meat, patented seeds, and digital agriculture suddenly care about preserving ancient, unmodified plant DNA? Unless they know something you don't. Let's look at the facility. The Svalbard Seed Vault is buried 400 feet inside a mountain, surrounded by permafrost that acts as natural refrigeration. Its doors are explosion-proof. Its location is above sea level, designed to remain dry even if all the ice caps melt. Inside, over 1 million seed samples from more than 100 countries, all locked away behind biometric gates, guarded under Norwegian jurisdiction, but influenced by private donors. And here's the creepy part. No one outside the project can access the seeds. Not farmers, not researchers, not nations in crisis. Even countries that donated seeds can't retrieve them without approval. This isn't a public safety project. It's a controlled archive, one with selective access. So again, why the obsession? Why are the ultra-wealthy so intent on preserving the natural building blocks of life, while pushing genetically modified alternatives into the global food supply? Because when a real collapse comes, environmental, geopolitical, or technological, whoever controls the last, unaltered seeds controls the future. Food isn't just survival, it's leverage. If global crops fail, whether from climate change, superpests, or soil collapse, there will be one question on everyone's lips. Who still has seeds that work? And the answer won't be you. Here's another layer. In 2015, a Syrian seed bank, holding over 150,000 samples, was destroyed during war. Where did the replacements come from? Svalbard. For the first time, the vault was opened. Seeds were withdrawn, planted, regrown. Proof that in crisis, Svalbard is not just a storage unit. It's a gatekeeper. And who decides when that gate opens? Who gets access first? Who gets nothing? You already know the answer. So here's the question no one is asking. What do they think is coming that requires this level of preparation? Why store seeds like gold? Why hide them under ice? Why pour millions into secrecy while the rest of us are told to eat processed soy and GMO corn? Maybe this isn't about protecting humanity. Maybe it's about preserving options for a very specific group. Because when everything else collapses, economies, power grids, food systems, the seed vault doesn't just represent survival. It represents control over what comes next. And you're not invited to that harvest. Let's connect the dots. Because this doesn't start in Svalbard. It starts in farm fields, and it starts with control. If you want to control a population, you don't need armies. You don't need propaganda. You just need to control their food. And in the 21st century, Controlling food doesn't mean owning farms. It means owning the seeds. Here's where Bill Gates re-enters the picture, not as a philanthropist, but as a major player in the corporate agricultural machine. Over the past 15 years, Gates has quietly become one of the largest private owners of farmland in the United States, with more than 270,000 acres under his name. Why? He says it's about innovation, sustainability, feeding the future. But let's look at who he's partnered with. Gates has consistently invested in biotech giants like Monsanto, the very company that pioneered GMO seeds, Terminator technology, and patented crops that replanting can violate intellectual property law. Yes, you heard that right. If you're a farmer using patented GMO seeds, you legally can't save seeds from your own harvest to replant next year. You have to buy them again. Every season, forever. And Monsanto? Eventually bought out by Bayer, but the methods haven't changed. Now, combine that with Gates' push for lab-grown meat, synthetic fertilizer, AI-controlled agriculture, and climate-smart crops designed to grow only with specialized inputs. Add it up, and what do you get? A full-spectrum system where every piece of your food chain is dependent on patented, corporate-controlled inputs, from soil to seed to harvest. So here's the uncomfortable truth. While Gates funds seed preservation in Svalbard, his financial empire is deeply entwined with the company's patenting, altering, and centralizing control of the global food supply. Think about the contradiction. Why protect natural seeds in a vault, while promoting global adoption of modified crops that could wipe out biodiversity? Unless the goal isn't preservation for everyone. Unless the goal is preservation for a select few, and dependency for the rest. Let's go deeper. According to leaked meeting notes from a private agriculture summit in Davos, one long-term objective discussed by biotech executives was the streamlining of seed rights. Translation: creating a system where every viable crop seed must be licensed. No more heirloom farming. No more local resilience. Only authorized genetically modified seeds, owned by someone else. And guess who was at that meeting? You already know. But this goes beyond agriculture. Think. If you control the seeds, you control the farms. If you control the farms, you control the food. If you control the food, you control the people. It's not about farming. It's about infrastructure dominance. In a crisis, famine, flood, cyber attack, those who hold the last unmodified seeds will decide who eats, who waits, who rebuilds, and under what terms, and those seeds. They're locked away, in Svalbard, behind biometric gates, owned, not by governments, but by private interests. So let's step back. Bill Gates presents himself as a futurist, a man trying to save the world from collapse. But what if he's not saving it for everyone? What if he's buying time, building backup systems, and positioning himself to be one of the few with access to the reset button when the food chain breaks? Because when the shelves are empty, and the crops fail, and panic sets in, people won't ask about patents or seed laws. They'll eat whatever they're handed, even if it's corporate engineered, even if it's synthetic, especially if it's the only thing left. So the next time someone says Gates is just a philanthropist, ask, why is he buying farmland like a real estate tycoon? Why invest in locking away ancient seeds while promoting lab-grown food? Why work so hard to protect the future of food without sharing it with the people who grow it? Because this isn't about feeding humanity. It's about owning what comes next. And the harvest, it might already be claimed. If you walked into a room and saw the richest, most powerful people in the world stockpiling food, locking away seeds, and building bunkers, would you assume they were doing it for fun? Or would you ask, what do they know that we don't? Because here's the thing. Bill Gates isn't alone. He's just the most visible. Behind him is a network of corporate leaders, biotech moguls, defense consultants, climate think tanks, and artificial intelligence pioneers, all quietly preparing for a future the public is not invited to survive. And the signs are everywhere, if you know where to look. Let's start with the parallel systems. Right now, billionaires are investing in underground bunkers with agricultural modules, vertical farming tech that functions without sunlight, private water reserves shielded from municipal access, seed banks located in remote areas under private control, encrypted satellite networks to maintain comms when the internet dies, AI-driven environmental prediction software that the public can't access. They're not guessing anymore. They're modeling collapse, and more importantly, gaming it. We're talking real-time crisis simulations that factor in global supply chain failure, AI-induced job market crashes, bioengineered pandemics, civil unrest due to food and water shortages, even scenarios where governments fall and corporations replace them. And where's all this going? Not to the public, not to governments, not to farmers, but to private contingency boards, elite strategy sessions, quiet planning groups funded by the very people who, to your face, say, "Don't worry, everything's under control." Now, here's the kicker. The doomsday narrative is never told to you directly. You hear bits: climate change, food insecurity, economic fragility. But you're always given solutions that keep you distracted. Buy an electric car. Go vegan. Use less plastic. Eat synthetic meat. Meanwhile, the people preaching those messages? They're buying land, locking away organic seeds, and prepping escape routes. Bill Gates famously said he supports sustainable agriculture. But ask yourself, does that align with the massive private farms he now owns? The exclusive access to seed genetics he's consolidating? The development of patented crops that no one else can grow without permission? Because if collapse is truly coming, they don't want you prepared. They want you dependent, obedient, manageable. And the scariest part? It's not that they expect the system to break. It's that some of them want it to. Because collapse doesn't mean the end for the elite. It means a reset, a realignment, a chance to rebuild the world with fewer rules and fewer people. If the middle class is wiped out, if small farms vanish, if global market cease, who controls the next system? Those who hold the seeds, those who hold the land, those who own the infrastructure of life. And who sits at the center of that web? You already know, so ask yourself, why is the man who pushes synthetic meat buying land to grow real food? Why is the champion of modern medicine storing ancient seeds? Why are so many of the philanthropists acting like survivalists? Because when the grid fails and the markets crash, they won't be surprised. They'll be inside a mountain, surrounded by unmodified seeds, eating organic produce, watching the rest of the world beg for ration cards and permission slips. That's not fear. That's strategy. This isn't about the future. It's about who gets to own it. And when the collapse comes, it won't be the governments that rise from the ashes. It'll be the owners of food, the keepers of seeds, the architects of artificial scarcity. And if your name's not on their list, don't expect a seat at the table, because the menu's already written, and you're not holding the recipe. In every empire, there comes a moment when the rulers stop pretending. They stop selling hope. They stop playing by the rules. They lock the gates and leave the rest of us outside. That's exactly what's happening now. Quietly, systematically, ruthlessly. And it's not happening with guns or tanks. It's happening with seeds. Because once the last independent farmer folds, once the global seed banks fall under private ownership, once the genetic diversity of our food is locked in digital patents, food becomes software. And you become the user, renting your right to eat. Don't believe it? It's already happening. The world's biggest agribusinesses now own over 75% of commercial seeds. The top 10 companies hold more than 90% of the global seed DNA patent market, the very crops your ancestors once saved and replanted freely. Now, come with licensing agreements. And guess what? Natural seeds? Rapidly disappearing. Heirloom varieties are going extinct. Wild seed banks are underfunded. Traditional farmers are being replaced by precision agriculture networks, where AI, drones, and biotech dictate what can grow, when, and how. And at the top of this food pyramid, the same man funding climate-resistant GMO seeds, synthetic fertilizers, lab-grown proteins, and biosurveillance farming systems. The same man who built his legacy on monopolizing digital software, now quietly monopolizing the software of life itself. Yes, Bill Gates. Let's talk about patents. In 2021, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation was directly linked to initiatives pushing for digital seed vaults, cloud-based systems that store genetic sequences of modified crops. In theory, that's great. In practice, that means whoever owns the platform owns the future of agriculture. And the moment seeds become code, the same rules apply. Pay to access. Subscription-based farming. Revocation of rights if terms are violated. Geo-fencing of crops. Yes, seeds that won't grow outside authorized regions. Sound extreme? There are already pilot programs for self-destructing seeds, modified to be sterile after one season, unless activated with a proprietary chemical. No chemical, no crop. You think that kind of control won't scale? It's not just about farming anymore. It's about who lives and who depends. And the vault? It sits silently beneath Arctic ice, holding the unaltered code of nature, guarded by layers of steel, frost, and legal abstraction. Not for the people, not for the world, but for the reset. For the day when the natural world collapses under the synthetic one. When the public will beg, not for money, not for shelter, but for seeds. And those seeds will be owned, managed, and rationed by the same people who let the collapse happen. So here's where it ends. They took your data. They took your privacy. They're taking your food. And when the final harvest comes, you won't even remember what it felt like to plant a seed without permission. You'll be too busy downloading your dinner, too grateful to question where it came from, too hungry to resist. Because control doesn't always arrive with a flag or a boot. Sometimes it grows silently, root by root, seed by seed, until one day, you look at your plate and realize you don't own a single bite.